Okay, we're gonna call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It's Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Okay, we'll go on to new business. So the first item is a public hearing for ordinance number 2025-09 PI Planned Industrial Zone Uses and Procedures Text Amendment. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to make comments on this?
I will leave a comment on it. Or you want to?
I just want to make sure that anybody else besides Ms. Miller is going to speak from the audience.
We're letting staff go first.
Yeah. So we'll open this public hearing and turn to Mr. Depot to explain the text amendment.
Thank you. If somebody is speaking, if they could sign in, maybe if not now, but afterwards. I don't want you to get something out of it.
I'm happy to jump up now while you.
Thank you. On July 28th, 2025, the Mayor and Common Council approved ordinance 2025-01 automobile use text amendment. During the Planning and Zoning Commission and Mayor and Common Council public hearings for ordinance 2025-01, comments and discussions appear to be primarily related to the process to allow certain retail and commercial uses in the PI zone versus the specific use revisions that were being proposed. That was allowing automobile uses throughout the zoning ordinance. Therefore, as opposed to amending ordinance 2025-01, which would have required us to re-advertise and reprocess it, the zoning administrator recommended that the public comments related to the PI zone could be better addressed by amending zoning ordinance section 164-75D, the process to allow local retail businesses or service shops in the PI zone. And that leads us to ordinance 2025-09. Generally, the ordinance proposes to add new permitted use hotel in the permitted motor inns, motels, restaurants, and service station use in the PI industrial zone. Increase the acreage limitation from 15 to 30% for section 164-75D, local retail business and service shop uses in the PI zone, and allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the PI zone development plan amendments to local retail businesses or service shop uses in the PI planned industrial zone. The zone administrator notes that the ordinance which started this, ordinance 2025-01, amended automobile related uses throughout the city, including the PI zone. And the ordinance tonight, 2025-09, intends to improve the process to allow local retail businesses or service shops in the PI zone. However, neither ordinances amend the site development plan regulations in the PI zone, of which the zone administrator recommends in the future should be reviewed, possibly amended. With that, it's a fairly basic text amendment, again, to address the process as opposed to going to the Mayor and Common Council for amendments to a development plan in the PI zone. This would allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to review and approve the development plan and eliminating the Mayor and Common Council review. And this is for amendments only to an existing approved development plan. And again, an increase of 15 to 30%. Currently, the ordinance allows 15% of the total area to be used for retail uses. The text amendment increases that to 30% of the area for retail uses. Certain retail uses listed, where 70% still would be allocated to the industrial uses, the permitted and special exception uses of the ordinance. With that, the Department of Community Planning and Development recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward a recommendation to approve ordinance 2025-09 to the Mayor and Common Council as introduced by the Mayor and Common Council on October 13th, 2025. And I'm available for any questions.
Any questions from commission members?
No, I think, it's fairly simple. I think, the first item is just adding hotels to the definition because it wasn't in there before. That's a more common terminology that is used today. And then to up the acreage limit to 30%, is this to give owners in the PI zone more flexibility to have more of those retail uses And then the whole thing about amendments, right now amendments have to,
I think
Go all the way up.
Twice, you have to modify the procedure by two.
yes, exactly, so, and there were some of my council colleagues that were not thrilled about the idea of it not going up to the mayor and common council, but we're talking simply about an amendment that's just allowing, the retail to happen, and we had a lot of discussions regarding that. From a council perspective, that it just would kind of get rid of a layer of bureaucracy. That it would just come here and say, council, when there's a change or amendment to it. So, I will mention, I think that there's been some discussion, believe it or not, the second ordinance that's kind of related to the PI zone. I think there'll probably be a third ordinance coming down the track to make some other additional modifications. But we're not here tonight. But I think there's probably be another ordinance that we'll see in a couple months. Is that correct, Mr. Debo?
That's correct. That's what I meant by zoning administrator recommending a further review of the PI zone for the development regulations associated for the PI zone.
Gotcha.
Height regulations, size of retail uses, certain elements in the PI zone that again provides a little more flexibility. But this ordinance was to address some of the comments that were made with that first automobile use text amendment and solely looked at process. We did not look at some of the development regulations associated with it, but the thought here was this is an immediate fix that increases percentage of retail use. So anybody in the PI zone now can take advantage of at least that element of it.
Definitely.
While we again potentially do a phase 3, I'll call it, that we look at the development regulations themselves.
Yeah, I think this is really good because, the PI zone probably was written back in the mid-80s. And it really hasn't undergone what I consider substantial update and change. So as things change and move into the future, this is really a good time. If you're trying to attract a hotel, for example, you have to have sites where they can build. It's just logical, and they have to have good access. So some of this stuff is just common sense and very, very practical. But the timing is good. Okay, any other comments by the commission members? Anything else over here? Ms. Miller?
Thank you. Very briefly, Kelly Schaefer Miller, 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. As you all are aware, I represent the owners of the Carroll County Commerce Center, which has an approved development plan in the PI zone. We are here to support the text amendment, request a favorable recommendation, and I appreciate Mr. Depot pointing out that there is likely to be a phase 3. I think that some of the adjustments made in this just warrant looking at some of those additional requirements. And so I anticipate that there will be dialogue with staff and such, and we expect to likely be back before you sometime in the next few months on that. But tonight we are requesting approval of this, and we appreciate the amendment that's been proposed. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any, but I think this is pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Any further comments on this text amendment? All right, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing at this point in time. For the commission's consideration, there's a few draft motions. If the thought is to recommend that now, we can do it. There's like the normal complement of motions here, so what do you all think? I mean, it's relatively non-controversial.
Yeah, always makes code with simple.
Recommended again.
Someone make a motion.
Which one go? Next, there you go.
I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward a recommendation to approve ordinance 2025-092, the mayor and county council, as introduced by the mayor and county council on October 13, 2025.
Second. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to pass a favorable recommendation on this proposed ordinance to the mayor and council. Is there any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Okay. All right, next is We have a public hearing for annexation number 89. Resolution 2508, Pitt Center Park condominium. Okay. So at this point in time, we'll open the public hearing for annexation 89, resolution 2508. I'll turn to here again to our staff.
Thank
Is there
you.
anybody in the audience that can speak to this?
Yes, sir. I'm Matthew Fur from, I represent Pitt Center Plaza, and I'm happy to answer any questions the panel has about it. Oh, you know, sorry. Happy to sign it as well.
Good evening. We're here tonight to talk about the property that's here highlighted in blue. This is the 531 Old Westminster Pike. Previously, earlier this year, we had come together for 531 Old Westminster Pike. So this property was going forward. We had two building permits that came in for new uses that both required additional water allocation. So that's why this annexation is moving forward.
Is that behind the old Coke plant?
Yes.
Yes, it's just you get there through the parking
Right,
lot.
got it, yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, 535, yes. So, this is a condominium building, so there's tons of different, owners that are associated and have, in the petition that you'll see, on the dais, there's all the attachments. Everyone that is a condominium owner has signed the petition. So 531 Old Westminster Pike, excuse me, in the county, it is C2 commercial, medium density, coming into the city as business, in the water and sewer service area. It came before the mayor and county council for introduction on September 8th. We then forwarded it to the county on September 9th. That is also when it went to the state for any review and comment. We had went to the planning commission for Carroll County on October 21st, and they forwarded a favorable recommendation to the board of county commissioners. And then on October 23rd, they went before the county commissioners and they gave a letter, a comment letter, which did not have any significant comments as part of it. Our next step is the mayor and county council meeting for a hearing on December 8th. And so we also, this has a draft recommendation as well. Looking, community planning and development recommends that the planning commission for resolution 2508, Pitt Center Park condominium phase 1 annexation, which is annexation 89, to the mayor and county council with a favorable recommendation.
I have a question. So this is a developed site now?
Yes,
So why do they want to annex?
they needed additional water for 2 new condominium units. There was, one was a doctor's office and one was an adult daycare. And so, both actually needed additional water. And we had worked with the property owners, so they had, I believe they also had an irrevocable consent to annexation previously, and so it was.
And we welcomed them in with open.
This is great.
If you could go back up a slide.
I mean, developed site is hardest to sometimes to get annexed, because particularly when you have multiple property owners. So this is a real good thing.
The pink color, maybe it says in here what that was about. Why is that one area color changing like that?
That's in the city.
That's the existing city.
So that came into the city, a couple months ago as, 535 on Westminster Pike. So the pink is inside the city. So the blue is what's being annexed.
So the city boundary doesn't include the old Coke plant, it comes back and picks that up at the back there.
Yeah.
Got it.
So this is inside the city and that is what's being annexed.
And the other building to the
Oh, that is
east
not,
is not in
no.
the city. Okay.
I would imagine that over time that, because what's happening is as people come into as people need additional water, if they're eligible to annex, they're required to annex in order to get the additional water. And so once that came in, Viva, kind of Stonegate, the proximity to Stonegate, then as others, you'll see that continue to grow over time.
Yeah, you'll get the.
I mean, that's a long history. We all, some of us know the history better than others. I'm sure you do very well. There was a time where Westminster kept on growing and growing without requiring annexation, which is quite frankly kind of was to the detriment to the city because they should have been annexed all that time ago. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the reason it's red, that's the zoning map that represents B business zone, which this property also with annexed would be B business zone.
Cause it's C2 right now in the county, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And the property that we annexed was also C2 at the time, and then annexed it became B business.
And there's no zoning waiver because it's close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And this has, probably minor impact on police, minor impact on schools, all that stuff. It's already got water and sewer, so it's not gonna really, yes. Good. Okay, so,
Thank you. So as you're coming into the, just for some familiarity where it's located, as you come into the parking lot for Carroll Indoor and then Players is beyond that. It's in that parking lot. It's a building that everyone's very familiar with being there. It's an office building. And I just wanted to emphasize for the council, for the panel that nothing is changing. It's the same operation that's been going on there. There's medical office building, things that sort in there. Mr. Depot and Ms. Gerhart touched on it, that there was an agreement years ago that it would annex in when it became eligible, and now it's eligible because the phase 2 annexed in first, and now we're here at phase 1. That's where we're at, but we're just following through with what the agreement was years ago.
any questions of the applicant? Okay, anybody else wants to speak to this matter? Okay, hearing no further comments, we'll call this hearing closed. The hearing is like, what's the commission's pleasure?
Move for a recommendation to approve the proposal.
Okay, so you're recommending the city of Westminster Planning and Zoning Forward Resolution 2508 Mid-Center Park Condominium Phase 1 Annexation 89 to the city of Westminster and Marion Common Council with a favorable recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, second. Any questions by the commission members? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
No. Ayes have it, and recommendation will go forth.
Thank you.
We have looks like a site development plan for Federal Credit Union. This is the oh, wow. Okay, so I'll turn to our staff.
This, again, this site development plan S 2408, requesting approval of Members First Federal Credit Union.
Front door open.
So the property itself is located on the eastern side of Baltimore Boulevard, approximately 530 feet south of the Angler Road Route 144 intersection. And again, next to the Goodwill, just south as well. The property is zoned B business and is 1.92 acres in size. The Members First Federal Credit Union is a bank and savings and loan institution, which is a permitted use in the B business zone. The same. So the site development plan itself, the primary access to Members First is off of Route 144 and 140. I'm sorry, I keep saying 140, as well as Clifton Boulevard. When this property was created, it was provided denied access on the 140, and there was an easement that was provided from Clifton to get to this property. But with this plan, the applicant is proposing to do improvements on that access drive from Clifton, then also improving the entrance onto 140 with the right in, right out movement. The parking requirements for the property requires 12 off-street parking spaces, and they're providing 32, including 2 ADA spaces. The signage on the property, again, they're allowed up to 150 square feet. And that is not really being approved by the planning commission tonight. There's nothing additional beyond what is otherwise allowed. There is a freestanding sign, obviously, wall signage, and that'll be taken care of at the time of the sign permit application process. One of the As far as landscaping is a veteran site, meet the requirements subject to additional plantings that the staff is still working with the applicant on, nothing substantial that would keep the project moving forward. And as far as, so I won't hit on anything else here. So one of the unusual elements about this property is that Members First, the access in is on the Goodwill property. So that opens up Goodwill to be part of this site plan process. They have to sign off on the site plan just as well as Members First property, and I believe it's the same property owner anyway. But one of the elements of the Goodwill site, which isn't shown on this plan that we're still working with the applicant or minor improvements to drive aisles, access, and both pedestrian vehicular. So adding additional sidewalks, additional access from Clifton, pedestrian access to the Goodwill building itself. And on the front of the building along 140, some minor improvements to the parking spaces and drive aisles. Again, that's the goal here is to move Members First forward. And as we are, we'll continue working on these minor revisions to the existing Goodwill site. And that's one of the outstanding issues and would be a condition of approval. We go to architecture.
So so there's a new decel lane being constructed, is that?
Yes.
Well, that's not existing. I thought that entrance was.
The entrance
The entrance is
is,
there, but it's not, you can't come out.
it's not a two-way entrance, exactly, it's one way. So,
That's the only thing that kind of caught my attention.
so,
That traffic coming out of there.
well, as you can see here, they're doing improvements on the access drive in itself, widening it for a better two-way movement.
Right.
This was one-way movement, now it's two-way, and you are providing a decel lane to access into the site. We had the site entrance to Members First pushed back as far as we could to the property, so you're creating this nice gap between the access to 140 and access to Members First. Some of those elements that we're talking about is just minor striping improvements, more or less. Goodwill is planning to resurface the parking lot to match the new resurfacing or the new surface of Members First. And with that, we're going to work with them on updating some striping and providing a sidewalk in Clifton and providing an access from Clifton down for pedestrian movement. Again, with the work they're doing already on patching their site, the parking lot of Goodwill, that's why we're working with them after the fact, and we'll continue to work with them to get those minor adjustments completed. If we go to the architecture.
So can you go back to that for a moment though, just, did you have concerns over the right out there or? Okay.
Yeah,
You know, 140.
yeah.
Couldn't you can get out there now, right? You sure?
Is that sure? Where?
I've seen people come out.
It's,
I've seen people come out, but
it's exit only. You can't enter this site from that entrance.
No,
You're
I'm
not
talking about the
supposed-
one at 140. I believe. Are we talking about the one at 140?
There's two along
there's
Goodwill.
two. There's one before you get to Goodwill, and there's one right
There's
between Goodwill and the
This
bank.
one further up here.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the existing one that shows the two-way movement right now? Is that only in or
Yes.
is it only in right now?
They're
No, I
both
don't
only
think so.
in.
It's
Yeah.
both ways.
It's both ways now.
Oh, it's both ways now.
It's supposed to be both. Right now, it's
The other one-
it's intended as approved, be one-way movement.
No, it's two ways on the drawing.
And then, so that's the improvement, exactly. With the addition of decel lane, they're gonna widen the entrance to make this two-way movement.
We're just saying people.
I think it is already two ways.
It already is. Now, the other entrance off.
I'm assuming
It's not.
people it operates that way, but previous approvals, it was not intended to be a two-way movement. So again, this creates a safer situation. People are already, again, you can't, there's no barrier to stop people from going both ways, right? This should be an improvement to
second entrance is not on this drawing.
No,
That's only.
That's only-
that kind of like slides in, you can go to the bank.
And
We'll
that's
definitely
only-
turn in.
Or you
It's
can
not
go
turn
back
in.
and see where you drop
That's
stuff off.
only it.
Yeah.
And that,
That
and
was only it.
that's one of the elements we're gonna work with the applicant on to approve that, to further define its write-in only. There were previous plans that showed a write-in over time. It changed a little bit, so that's one of the improvements we're working with Goodwill on to better visually show that it's a write-in only. The second entrance further down.
Yeah, I do think the decel lane's gonna help. That one.
So that first entrance that's closest to the new bank, Members First, is gonna be in and out. And then the entrance that's further down is gonna stay just in.
Right in
You're not gonna be able to come out, okay?
I think better signage, better striping, better visual cues. Again, it's not gonna stop everybody. But we can do improvements to at least curb some of that movement. One of the
I
other
wanted
ones.
to talk about elevations.
Okay.
Well, if we go back real quick, if you look at the plans that we provided, the applicant initially was showing a sidewalk that ran along 140, came up to the site, and then extended over to Goodwill. Right now that they've eliminated that sidewalk, working with state highway, issues with slopes, issues with
State Highway did not want that sidewalk, because there's a sidewalk along the bridge itself, right? That kind of goes nowhere.
it goes nowhere. And then you have this guardrail that they would have to shift back, and then steep slopes and movement. There's not a safe situation to make what they were doing to this
You
point.
just push the sidewalk back.
Yeah, so that's a sense, so the
Yeah, but there's a
sidewalk.
sidewalk along the bridge that's
Yeah,
now not
yeah.
connecting, but
Yeah,
But because this site was vacant, there was never any proposal to do anything.
yeah, the State Highway doesn't want the sidewalk.
Exactly. Yeah, go ahead.
we still have enough space here in the future if we ever get improvements and work the state highway for 140. We certainly have that option that we can provide a sidewalk, we can access to it. The one thing we are doing, this is what goes back to the Clifton discussion. Providing sidewalks in Clifton and access pedestrian down to Goodwill. The sidewalk in Goodwill comes along the front of the building. And that is being connected to the bank. So you will have this pedestrian movement throughout from this site all the way over to Clifton and all the way over to the bank over here to that corner, which has a sidewalk. So this section is improving the pedestrian connection. And then to the elevations, see the proposed elevations, proposed with grayish concrete masonry block veneer base and an aspen white brick veneer above the areas of the brick veneer or masonry veneer. The roof line offers variations in height and slope and is covered with asphalt shingles. The elevation facing the Goodwill property in Maryland 140 includes several windows and glass features and provides a defined entrance detail. So a lot of these elements, everything I read were requirements of the design preference manual, which staff believes this architecture meets. The only element that that staff looked at, this is what's facing 140. It's actually the mirror image of what is out there. These drive-throughs are actually on this side. So you have to imagine this is flipped. And throughout the elevation.
No, understand, because someone flipped it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I get you.
So this is what's facing Goodwill with a nice stone entrance feature. What staff is asking is that this element be carried on to this facade to highlight it more in 140. Even though it's not pedestrian access to it, but it is the side facing 140, and I think it would be a nicer element instead of a secondary element, especially because it's facing 140. So that's the only issue or concern we had or comment we had about the elevations. Outside of that,
Mr.
This is
Debo,
essentially the first submission. We didn't, they came in with a very good design. And again, it's been great to work with us. We're going through this.
can you go back to that other elevation? All right. Yeah, Mr. Debo, when I was looking at the material today, I kind of wondered to myself why the building wasn't facing 140, but I kind of think probably because of the configuration of what they need to do for the drive-throughs, they just don't have the space to do that, is what I assume. And I think, you know, I assume what they're trying to do there is at least make that elevation that faces 140, you know, look semi-attractive, you know what I mean? So it doesn't look as much like a side of a building as it typically would. So I don't disagree with your point of maybe highlighting that a little bit, just to try to kind of give it a little bit more pizzazz from the 140 direction. I think it's probably a good idea, so I like that comment. Potentially working with them to just to kind of, I think it's really good, I think it's a great effort, but just to kind of give it a little bit more pizzazz on the elevation that faces 140.
So this has has 2 lanes going to the drive-through. And it has, so somebody could be at the ATM machine, 2 lanes, and then what I think is really good is a pass-through lane. So the outer lane, if somebody gets in there and decide they don't want to wait, they just pull out. So there's actually 4 lanes.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah. So, yeah, the drive-through, and then there's literally an ATM and 2 service lanes, and then the through lane.
Exactly, I think that's really good.
Yeah. And I'm assuming they just couldn't figure out the geometry to make it that it would face 140.
And that was one of the first comments staff had when we reviewed this, turn the building to have it face. But you're right, with the access in the 4 lanes bypass, the narrowness of the property itself, turning it, they did look into that. It's not, they didn't dismiss staff, but they did look into that. And also when you turn it, the parking field's over here,
It wouldn't work.
if we had a better site, I think they would have looked into that and probably proposed that, but with the narrowness of the site, access and location, we were comfortable with that explanation.
Yeah, I just think you make the side facing 140 look a little nicer. I think your suggestion to it.
And then if you look at the other elevations, nice element of this, they wrap the entire building with the elevations and the material. So any side of the board, it's the same base, the same materials, the same look. So we always try to get that 4-sided architecture, and that's what this product is proposing. And then with that, staff is recommending the Planning and Zoning Commission consider conditional approval of the proposed site development plan S-24-8, Denver First Federal Credit Union, with the following conditions of approval. 1, depict all required improvements when the adjacent Goodwill property, 200 Baltimore Boulevard, as outlined in the November 2025 staff report for S-24-0008. Address all outstanding city and county comments prior to submission of signature sets. And I want to add a 3rd condition, and that is to approve the entrance elevation along 140 to be consistent with the other entrance.
I just noticed something, and I apologize, because the applicant or the owner is my accountant. So at this point in time, I'm going to what's the word? Recuse myself. And I apologize, I'm sorry. So much for really seriously, my apologies for that.
Could you repeat that 3rd recommendation?
So it's, if we go back to the elevation, it's essentially to carry the entrance feature facing Goodwill onto the entry or the similar feature facing 140.
Oh,
So Kevin, just give it a little bit more pizzazz.
that is facing the stormwater pond or something now. That's what it's facing.
No. This is facing Goodwill.
Yeah.
This is facing 140. If you go to the next one,
Yeah, well,
flip through. This is what you will see facing the stormwater management facility.
uh,
And then that's what's facing.
I'm sorry, this is what's facing the stormwater management facility.
okay.
This is what's facing the railroad, the steep slope. Yeah.
So your request is to make it like the drawing.
Yeah, if you go back, just to carry this feature.
Oh, I see.
You see the white,
This
white
this
version.
feature.
Yes.
Yeah, just really adding
Okay.
this element to try to mimic
Just give
it.
it a little bit more pizzazz.
So does anybody, have any more comments?
We want to hear from the applicant, I guess. if they want to.
That,
Good evening, Aaron Navarro from Landworks, Michael Martin's also here from Members First. I'm not really sure what more you want me to add besides what Mark has kind of filled in the planning commission, but I can kind of touch on a few things. One of the items we can touch upon is the orientation of the building. If you notice, this existing stormwater pond that's there today is there. So that's kind of the restricting factor there. So we're already encroaching a little bit into the retaining wall. If we had to turn the building, we would have really had to affect that pond, which we really didn't want to do. So that kind of addresses that. The sidewalk along 140, we were working with SHA on that. We tried to get it in there. The issue is to get the sidewalk in at the required width would have required either the installation of the sidewalk underneath the guide rail, because at that point it slopes off at like 2-to-1 slope down to existing grade. So, we tried to get it there. There's utility poles along that roadway as well. So basically we just try to come up with a better kind of mousetrap there to get pedestrians to where they go. We understand people are walking along there, but SHA would prefer not to have anybody walk along there. It's a busy road, so they would prefer to kind of just direct them elsewhere. As far as landscaping, I know the plan that you had in front of you probably showed a minimum amount of landscaping. We have definitely increased that amount, working with staff and the county, meeting those requirements. And there will also be some additional landscaping provided on Goodwill site when we provide those additional drawings with the restriping and the reconfiguration of some of the driveways. Beyond that, it's a pretty straightforward project. Members First is glad to be part of the community and come in to kind of get started working with you guys. So, Mike, if you want to add anything else to.
I think it's all been beautifully said. Yeah, we pinpointed Westminster as a place people would like to be. And this is a great site to be on, and it's right where our research told us we want to be.
So where's your closest location otherwise right now?
Right now, it would be probably South Hanover. We have in Pennsylvania, we don't have any in Maryland yet.
Also, this is your first location in Maryland.
Yeah, we're working on a site also in Franklin County, but in here, so we have several points the south end of Pennsylvania. We're Shrewsbury, which is when you go down that's 83, and then we're in South Hanover, just a couple miles from the border as well, and then we're in Gettysburg. So we have strategic places we have a lot of members already in Maryland.
So out of curiosity, just anecdotally, what made you, if this is your first location in Maryland, what is kind of driving you towards that first location to be Westminster as opposed to another location?
It's we look for places that are growing, that have many people as possible. The more urban it is, the better chance we have of getting accounts, right? There's a lot of businesses here, there's a lot of people living here, and it's a place to be tapped into. One thing that we find a little humorous lately is everywhere we seem to be looking at, Chase Bank is also. So we looked at the building right across the street from this that Chase took over as a lease. We decided we didn't want a lease. Next thing we know, Chase snapped it up and they're in already, but, you know, we all use the same, metrics. We probably all use the same company called Bankography that does a lot of research on the demographics of the areas, and then they tell you, you know, where's the best regions to be, and then pinpoint actual locations. And Jason's using the same metrics. They pinpointed the Truist right on the corner as the ideal location to be. And so Jason's across the street. We're on the other side of the Goodwill from it. It's you know, it's a nice community where everyone's in.
So with your, out of curiosity, with your credit union, can anyone belong to that credit union, or it's how does that work, or do you have to?
Well, as a federal credit union, there's several ways you can become a member. You have a family member who's already a member, or the organization you work for, they're what we call a SEG, SEG, a select employer group. It's free to become a SEG. We will come in and we'll sign up the city of Westminster to be a SEG. So if you work for the city of Westminster, then you become a member. It's really easy. There's
Which you got in the law too, that's typical for, okay.
Yeah, it's it's free just for all of our you know, SEG employer, you know, select employer groups to sign up. It's free to benefit to their employees, basically. Another option of financial institution to go to. We get a lot of people, actually a lot of members through indirect lending. So you get a car loan from a car dealership, a used car dealership or something. You get a car loan from Members First, which we have a lot of people in Maryland, a lot of members in Maryland that way. Now you're automatically a member of Members First, and then everyone in your family can become a member if you're a member. It's kind of how it works. The federal credit.
Sir, if you wouldn't mind identifying yourself for the record, by the way.
Michael Martin, Members First.
Okay, Michael Martin.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody on the?
I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission conditionally approve site development plan S24-0008 pursuant to the City of Westminster zoning ordinance Article 25 and based upon the November 20th, 2025 S24-0008 staff report and conditions of approval, adding on to those conditions of approval, item 3, which is the improvement of the Route 140 elevation as discussed in the meeting. That staff will work directly with the applicant to kind of fine tune that to make it a little bit more like the entrance feature that's facing the Goodwill. And then the other, just for the record, the two other things are depicting all required improvements to the adjacent Goodwill property at 200 Baltimore Boulevard, as outlined in the November 20th, 2025 staff report, and then addressing all outstanding city and county comments prior to submission of signature set bylaws.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
You want noted for the record that you.
No, for the record that I recused myself because the owner is my accountant.
Thank
you very much.
Good luck to you all.
Sorry for the record.
Oh, when do you plan to start, hope to be in then?
Don't know yet. I'm going to get through all these last.
Under old business, we were gonna take up recommendation, because the city attorney had some personal issues in her family. That decision is not ready, so we're gonna defer that recommendation this evening to the next meeting. So the next item is county liaison report. What's happening in the county? You're deferring lots of stuff now, right?
What'd you say?
You're gonna defer a lot of things, right?
Well, yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, there's a lot of updates.
Oh, I think you're taking, sir, you're taking my jacket.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was yours. I thought it was, I thought it was Martin's. I was over to the mechanic. So,
You said you wouldn't forget it, Dan.
now you won't forget it.
It was freezing cold outside. And I raised into the pocket for my keys, and it's like 0 degrees, and my keys aren't there. Back and find the guy that had my code.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, I'll start here. The county conducted an audit and made updates to Carroll Connect website to ensure subscribers are receiving appropriate and timely information. Under the topic planning and land management, users of Carroll Connect can subscribe to Carroll County planning updates, Carroll County Master Plan 2035, and Down to Earth, which is a quarterly newsletter. Carroll Connect is, are you familiar with Carroll Connect? Great. Oh, Trailblazer updates. So on November 13th, the Board of County Commissioners approved that the Carroll County Department of Public Works make adjustments in the existing Trailblazer purple and black routes. Purple route has combined the stops in Stone Avenue and Carroll Hospital. Official stop is now the Stone Avenue Medical Complex. Any riders needing to stop at the hospital can inform the driver, and they will do so as a deviation at no extra charge. The black route has eliminated the City of Westminster City Hall stop. Any riders requiring this stop can request the driver to do so. Changes in the routes will be advertised in the buses. These changes go into effect January 1st, 2026. Deferrals. Commissioner Krebs is concerned that the county code does not address the welfare of citizens in the Freedom area with respect to provisions governing retirement villages and retirement homes, cluster subdivisions, planned commercial centers, qualified projects, and self-storage. The deferrals will allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to study the zoning code and suggest possible modifications to address these concerns. On November 6th, the Board of County Commissioners considered a proposal to impose a series of deferrals on the submittal, acceptance, review, processing, application for, approval, or decision of any pending site plan, zoning certificate, development plan, or application for any of the following projects defined in Chapter 158 of the County Code, or the area subject to the Freedom Community Comprehensive Plan. That's retirement villages and retirement homes, 6 months. Cluster subdivisions, months. Planned commercial centers, 8 months. And self-storage, 3 months. On November 13th, the Board of County Commissioners voted 3-2 to send the above mentioned to public hearing.
When does it go to public hearing? Has that date been picked yet?
I don't have that written.
Can you email, it's not that it impacts us because we're not the Freedom area, but
Yeah.
I'd be curious when that goes to public hearing.
So this is just Freedom, it's not the rest of the
It's
county.
just the Freedom area.
So there's a feeling like you were reading those different land uses, that there's too much of that?
Yeah.
Is that,
They don't. I understand, like I say, there's been a lot of senior centers built down there. There's been the new business center that was built out by Cleveland Road. A lot of people were upset by that down there and they don't want it. So they're looking at it.
So can I ask you a question just out of curiosity about how this deferral? So if I were doing a project down there right now, like in the Freedom area, and I was literally a month from recording it, I would be deferred, is that correct? Because if I haven't recorded, I'm deferred.
Yeah, but I believe so. I believe so.
Because you don't have vesting, because you
You're
have
not
that shovel in the ground.
Correct, so I'm a month, so I'm a month from recording.
That's
I've
right.
gone through all the process. I'm a month,
They could change the zoning and do everything to your vesting.
That's right.
so I can be a month from recording.
I'm just saying,
No, I just want to
Yes.
make sure I
Yes.
I can be a month from recording
Yes.
and I'm gonna be deferred for 9 months.
And then you may not get approved.
And then you're gonna change the rules on me
They could.
when I'm a month from being recorded.
Yep.
They could.
Wow, okay.
In fact, they could do that whether they had to defer or not. They could put it forth in ordinance.
Oh, yeah, it could, but I mean.
But
Well,
yeah,
tell any of these people that they're welcome to come to Westminster. Oh my God. Wow.
Well, there's some, they need a bump to.
I mean, there's no question. Nobody, because of questions like you're asking, there'll be plenty of litigation. No doubt. All, I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening.
Because you could do this with like something like this, reasonable grandfathering. But if you're all the way almost through the project, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And these plans down there in Lake already.
Okay, anyway, it's not us, so, but, whoa. All right,
I'll get the date for that public hearing. I'll send it to the both of you.
yeah. You'll send that to us, please, just out of curiosity.
Text amendments. Board of County Commissioners sent a zoning text amendment for use off the premises signs to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their review and recommendation. The text amendment was introduced to the Planning and Zoning Commission on October 1st and is tentatively set for continued discussion on December 18th.
Do you know briefly what that text amendment is?
So I can't remember the details of it right now. I don't have a note of it. I can also send you that. Is that okay? Sure. Okay.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Master plan updates. Master plan. Sorry. Yeah. Master plan work group reports on housing, economy, and agriculture were shared with the Planning and Zoning Commission on November 5th. In upcoming meetings, the Planning and Zoning Commission will consider them as part of a broader effort to review, update, and recommend changes to the county master plan. There will be many opportunities for the public to give feedback throughout this process, which is expected to continue through 2026. A master plan joint work session between the Board of County Commissioners and Planning and Zoning Commission scheduled and held on November 18th at 1 p.m. The staff provided an update of the master plan progress to date, and there was a discussion between Board of County Commissioners and Planning and Zoning Commission on the next steps. Board of County Commissioner work sessions. On October 23rd, the Board of County Commissioners began holding work sessions on planning related matters. The work sessions are live streamed and recorded and can be accessed through the county's meeting portal and YouTube channel. On October 23rd, there was a meeting on clustering. On October 30th, there was a meeting on DRRAs. There's a meeting on age restricted housing on November 20th.
Are the work sessions, are these just informative in nature, or are they?
I think these are related to the deferral or the changes that they want to make as part of the deferral.
Okay.
That's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong.
So they are, they're public, but they're like, I guess, not closed sessions, but they're work sessions, so.
I don't take it or anything.
What?
They can't vote on anything.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was just staff informing them, or is this
It's usually
like direction the next that they're, okay.
It's discussion and it's like working through different issues, people expressing their concerns on the Board of County Commissioners, and then getting information from staff.
But it sounds like it's related to these deferral information, okay.
Yes.
Related to the referral. Thanks.
Water resource element updates. A completed draft of the WRE was sent to the state on November 12th for their review. The Planning and Land Management Department will accept public comment on behalf of all 9 planning commissions concurrent to the state review period. Planning and Land Management staff will collect state and public comments, host a public information meeting, and facilitate a joint public hearing of all 9 planning commissions. The relevant dates are as follows. November 15th, begin open review period. January 14th, 2026, tentatively, there is a public information meeting. January 15th, 2026 is a 60-day review period closing. February 4th, the Planning Commission's public hearing is tentatively scheduled.
With that, real quickly, I'm sorry, we're not gonna join the counties. Everybody do it on the same day, because it's not on a day in which you guys have a regularly scheduled meeting. But they did give you the option to have it between a certain time period, so we can have it as our January meeting. To be
And
part
what
of.
is this gonna be? It's
For our portion of the WRE, the water resources element, so everybody has to have we had a public hearing to send it to 60-day review. We are not a hearing, we voted to do that. It's now past, the 60-day review period in January will be over. Most likely they will hear very little comment regarding our section, or really probably many sections. And at that point, we're going to be part of the county-wide planning commissions having a public hearing to send it to the county commissioners for adoption.
Okay.
But so because we were part of the sending it 60-day, we have to have a public hearing. They were trying to have one giant, essentially virtual meeting on February 4th, where you had to have a quorum there. And because that's not a regularly scheduled meeting, I didn't think that it was appropriate to ask the planning commission to do that, especially when we had the opportunity to do it on a day when we were already meeting.
Okay.
Sorry about
Oh, thank you. Last update, water and sewer. Spring 2025 amendment includes Hampstead, Tawnytown, Union Bridge, and New Windsor. A letter of Maryland Department of Environment approval was sent to the Board of County Commissioners on October 21st. The fall 2025 amendment includes Mount Airy, Tawnytown, and Freedom, and is scheduled for certification by County Planning and Zoning Commission on November 18th. I haven't gotten word on how that went. So I can follow up with you.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Any planning commission member comments on any topic? Really talkative tonight, guys. Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it.